Okay, dynamic drivers ranked. Tanstrom Oxygen KXXS Canas. TFC number 3 BLON 03. The Tanstrom is, I believe, discontinued and being replaced. The Canas is discontinued. Put this there because it's a personal, they were so close type of thing. And this is discontinued, but there's a lot of them in the wild, so you might have it in your possession and can give an opinion on my opinion. Or you can get it out there in the wild. In the bass, which I came to conclusions based on Tupac, Ambitionz as a Rider, most of the song, Kendrick Lamar, Money Trees, and Black Sabbath drum and bass solo that begins around the 3-minute stamp of Sweet Leaf is pretty much what I'm listening to. Although throughout the song there's a lot of good drumming and bass play. So, but in particular, if you wanted to follow like a particular timestamp, it would be about 3 minutes. The mids, Aerosmith, the piano, it's just a great evaluator because it does play really good sometimes, always sounds slightly back, but clear, and then every other version of that is a degraded version, so it's great. Treble, E.L.O, Living Thing, a song and a group in general that sounds quite offensive if the treble is too much elevation. The Electric Light Orchestra, they're coming right at you. They're coming right at you with that treble. Led Zeppelin, Hey Hey, What Can I Do? The cymbal strikes I've discovered are repeated many times, and their quality is really, really good. And I'm a huge fan and a long-time follower of John Bonham on drums. Somebody left a comment talking about cymbal crash and splash. Disagree with you, bro. There's something called a ride, and I won't waste this video with that, but I played drums and bass guitar for a few years of my life, so thanks for your opinion. Bye-bye. So the cymbal strikes on Hey Hey What Can I Do are very, very nice. The way that they live and die naturally, or the way that they live a little too long, or I can't catch them quite that good. This is great for that. I use Aerosmith's hi-hat, but this is a better version, and there's more of them throughout the track. Hey Hey What Can I Do by Led Zeppelin, off of Coda, I believe. Stage, Pink Floyd, On the Run. Amazing for left-right panning. It's like a Chesky record type thing. And plus, I've been listening to it since I was a little kid. And Fleetwood, Leonard Skinner, Freebird, the live version off of One More From the Road, because of the positioning and the people that are out on the stage. Let me go right to the ranking. Tanstrom got 10 or 12. KXXS got 6. Canas got 10. TFC number 3 got 12 or 10, depending on how you look at it. And the BLON got 6. So right off the bat, we've got the KXXS and the BLON right together. I wouldn't have predicted this when I first picked them up because I have recency bias with the BLON 03. And if you're thinking, whoa, shit, well, wait a second. I think this is clearly a better set than this set. But when I was, listening to this music and comparing this group of IEMs, this is what it came out to. So if I had to personally take one or the other, it would be easy just to modify this. You know what I mean? Like this was a 1 that was changed to a 2, and this was 2. So it was a 6, now it's a 6. So there's no fudgery going on. This is listening a second time and thinking, well, wait a second. So in the bass, I would think that the best bass is probably the KXXS because of it's very balanced, it's very nice, it's got a very natural play on kick drums and on bass guitar. It's not overly elevated. Optional number 1 would be the TFC number 3 because it's the most bassy of all of these. So if you like, I really like a good punching bass, that would be this set right here. It's not so much that it destroys the playback because it's a really good set, but it is quite loud and can be a little bit much for other people. But other people, like, who are you? I love my bass, man. So I'm going to give this a 3 for some people and for a 1 for like bass lovers, and that'll give it 2 numbers over here at the end. The BLON 03, this is really close, but the BLON's got a slight elevation and it can cause some people issues. I think cutting bass, racing treble are things that are a little bit, if you want to cut a little bit of something or add a little bit of something, I can kind of get it. But if treble in general or bass in general is too much for you, you're pretty much on the wrong set, so you shouldn't be there. The bass of the BLON 03 is not as pronounced as the TFZ number 3 to my ears, but relative to how it transitions to the mids, it's not quite as good as the KXXS. So there's that. The mids, I would say that the KXXS is there's a really nice transition going from the bass across the mids. It's really good, where the BLON is coming from a hump into a mid, a short porch, what I call it. It's very well done, and it's my preferred signature, but I can see how people, and on critical listening without thinking about what I'm listening to, as far as the item in my ear, I think I'd probably lean towards the KXXS as the rec. Number 2, I would put the Canas or the BLON. These could be one or the other. This is a really good set, the Canas is. I'm not sure why they discontinued this. I guess because this is maybe slightly better, but I don't know. They were doing really well with this. The TFC number 3 would be third, and I would put the Tanstrim at third also, because these have because of the seal, and even when you get a good seal, the Tanstrim has one bad side effect. It sounds kind of thin. Like the notes are lacking weight. I don't know if you can kind of get what I'm saying. It's thin. It seems thin, and that's got to be related to its design. But even when I get a good seal, that doesn't seem to be disappearing, and it's particularly present in the mid. So I can easily tell by the bass if it's not enough, that I'm not getting a good seal. Push it in, get a good seal. Oh, the bass is better, but the mids seem to have a kind of thinness that never really disappears. TFC number 3, because of its elevated bass, and if you really like that, you're going to compromise with the mids a little bit. Not so much that it's like there goes the vocals, but it's not as good a performer as the KXXS or the BLON. And the Canas is discontinued, so that's I threw that in here because of how many are out in the wild right now. In the treble, the cymbal strikes are on the BLON are the best. I thought this was going to be number 1 all across the board. I underestimated how good the KXXS is. I listened to it, but comparing the two of them together, it gets real close. But this is where the BLON pulls ahead, because it's got the entire treble region is represented, and there's no massive drops except for a notch around 8K, which seems to be a popular tuning recently and is actually quite effective. And there doesn't seem to be a sonic sacrifice with the way that they do that little notch at 8K as opposed to a spike right there. I think that the treble presentation of the BLON is superior. And then Tanstrim, KXXS, and Kansas, I'm all going to put them at number 2 because I'm splitting hairs to start to separate these two, so I won't. That they're not. They're all good. KXXS might be a little bit better, but then Canas, really, they're pretty close. TFC is good. It's not as good as these, so this is like a relative graph. So I put BLON as number 1. On stage, I didn't think about BLON as being something with stage, but when I listened to Pink Floyd On the Run and Fleetwood Mac, Leonard Skinner live, I'm looking through the viewfinder and I keep seeing Fleet. It looks like Fleet. Freebird, One More from the Road, the live, I think it's a double LP. BLON is quite wide. This was a surprise to me, as some other things were. These playback large things, a Boston 4-play, it's been such a long time, huge. BLON has got a great stage. One of my personal discoveries when doing this, I wouldn't have thought, I would think, this is great, and overall it's great. Did not think stage. Tanstrim, its thinness leads to a sense of thin, wide, lots of heavy notes lends something to more of an organic type of playback. I hate to use these fucking terms, but what is thin and seemingly not enough lends itself to seem to be Kind of like the i-Fi IDSD Nanos playback versus the Mojo, where that would seem to be thin versus the Mojo in the way that it helped the music come back to you. So it's if you ever had the i-Fi IDSD Nano Micro and the Mojo, and you thought the Mojo had kind of like more meat in the mids, I mean it like that. The Tantstrim, it just seems like thin all around, and that lends itself to this particular point, which is stage, but it's still not on the BLON's level. And then I would think that the KXXS and Kansas are both, again, really, really good. Not a ton of difference between the two. And because of the elevated bass over here on the TFC number 3, this is not a stage thing. This is something that's more gauged for. And I'll get to the next up. What would be other? Tantstrim, stem, death by nozzle, and possibly discontinued. KXXS, I couldn't think of other, like right up the top of my head. The Canas, it's been discontinued, I think, I'm sure, but it's still out there. TFC number 3, fun sound, fun. This is something you, if you're anal retentive OCD, you might want the BLONs or the KXXS. If you really just want to enjoy your music and not hear people around you when you're traveling on the bus or the train, because the din of the bass is canceling that out, but you're still getting a really high quality playback, this would be the selection, the TFC number 3. The BLON 03 fit, garbage cable plus tips. There's still people on the internet that are arguing about this. I should, if anybody's ever got time, how many people have mentioned that the cable is crap? Cable is crap and the tips are not really that great. So let's stop telling people that are going to buy this thing, don't worry, the cable's fine for me. That's fucking you. Stop projecting your shit on other people, especially when you're not being asked. Every time you, and you know who the fuck I'm talking to, bring that up, you're replying to other people that didn't really ask you. I certainly as fuck didn't ask you, but I got replied to multiple times. The cable is fucking garbage, and the tips are garbage too. But this costs $35, so investing another $15 into a fucking cable and using other spare tips, it should not be a problem. So my rec is BLON 03. Clearly, however, putting this on a graph, this is a really good set, the KXXS, and it might be preferred by some people, though that's hard for me to fathom. I think the BLON 03 is the best. And also, how much is this again? $35. And how much is this again? More than $35. And graphs. I learn. I'm a teacher in Japan, and sometimes little kids say shit to me that, like, you know, facepalm. Like, I didn't even think of that. I'm an adult. They're a little kid, and they say something that totally, because their brain is not preoccupied with all the kind of, like, I just shouted out on a low kind of way, a person that's talking about the cables. Little kids don't play little stupid games like that. Adults play kids games. Kids don't play those games. It's a fucking trip how life works. BLON 03, if it's on the way, you fucking scored $35. They're gonna release another one, probably the same company, and they're gonna claim it's very close to this, and they're gonna charge you more money. I'm fucking promising you. So get this now. Get another cable. Put the tips on it and fucking enjoy. And don't engage in any debate about the cable's good or not. It's fucking garbage. If you got the KXXS, it's quite dope. It's quite dope. And you already spent the money. So there you go. But if you're like, well, these look pretty close, more money. Save that money. Unless you're rich, then fuck, go and buy them all. And I'm out.
Live on stage for hoes yelling my name. To be precise, ripping mics is the light of my life.